I would like to warmly thank the organizers for the invitation to present a few insights of our work. Firstly, one word on GenSight Biologics. GenSight Biologics is a biotech company developing gene therapy in inherited retinal diseases leading to blindness. We have two main projects using two technology platforms. Our lead program is the development of a gene therapy in LHON. We have another program in retinitis pigmentosa, and we are at early stage clinical development with a first-in-human study which is ongoing. GenSight was founded in 2012, and the headquarters is based in France. I would like to focus this presentation on Lumievoc gene therapy development in LHON. What are the key milestones for Lumievoc? We filed for EMA registration in September 2020 based on the results of two pivotal studies. We will then be moving to BLA for US registration in Q2 2022 based on the results of a third pivotal study designed with the FDA. Let's move on to the disease. LHON is a maternally inherited mitochondrial disease. It is a rare disease with an incidence of 1,500 new patients per year in Europe and in the US. Before onset of the disease, the carriers of these mitochondrial mutations have a very good vision, 20 out of 20. One day, subjects have a dramatic drop of vision, firstly in one eye, and a few weeks later in the second eye. You see this drop of vision on the left graph. Rapidly during the acute phase of the disease, these subjects reach their lowest visual acuity, which is called the nadir. This is typical of this disease, a rapid and sequential drop of vision. Within 1 year, the patients become blind. The onset of vision loss is on average between 15 and 35 years old. It mainly affects males. Different mutations on the mitochondrial DNA can lead to LHON. The 11778 mutation on the ND4 mitochondrial gene is the most frequent mutation, representing around 75% of LHON in Europe and in the US. It is also the mutation causing the most severe clinical form of LHON, and Lumievoc is specifically targeting this mutation. Importantly, LHON is a neuroophthalmic disease, and such as glaucoma and many neurologic diseases, anatomic modifications start before the occurrence of symptoms. In LHON, the retinal ganglion cells and their axons are affected, and on the graph on your right, you see that the retina observed at OCT presents anatomic changes starting before the occurrence of vision loss. There is firstly an increase of thickness of the retinal nerve fiber layer related to edema, and then a dramatic thinning of this layer over time. We developed the technology of gene therapy to overcome genetic mutations in the mitochondrial DNA. The gene therapy Lumievoc specifically targets the 11778 mutation on the ND4 mitochondrial gene. Lumievoc is a recombinant adenovirus type 2 containing the wild type, the healthy mitochondrial ND4 DNA. Lumievoc is injected via intravitreal injection, as it is the best way of administration to reach out the targeted cells, the retinal ganglion cells. Once injected in the eye, the ND4 DNA is transcribed into mRNA in the nucleus. Then the two mitochondrial targeting sequences actively shuttle the ND4 mRNA to the mitochondrial surface, where a functional ND4 protein is synthesized and translocated inside the mitochondria to restore energy production. Let's move on to REFLECT, which is our third pivotal study. REFLECT study has been designed in close collaboration with the FDA and is under special protocol assessment. The FDA requested to test the bilateral treatment of Lumievoc as LHN is a bilateral disease, and to compare the visual outcome between eyes of different subjects. That is why the pivotal study designed with the FDA has different design from reverse and rescue studies. REFLECT is a two-arm study. In one arm, patients were bilaterally treated with Lumievoc, and in the other arm, patients got one eye treated with Lumievoc and the other eye treated with a real intravitreal injection of placebo. The primary endpoint is the difference in change of visual acuity between the second eyes treated with Lumievoc and the second eyes treated with placebo. 98 patients were randomized and treated. 48 were bilaterally treated with Lumievoc and 50 were unilaterally treated. Only one subject discontinued the study before the assessment of a primary endpoint at 1.5 years. The characteristics of the study population correspond to a typical LHON population, young people age of 31 years on average, and mostly males. According to protocol, patients were included when we had a vision loss of less than 1 year. On average, the timing of treatment administration was 8 months post-vision loss. The baseline BCVA was 1.6 logMAR, 20 out of 800 with a Snellen scale for the first affected eyes, and the baseline BCVA was a bit better for the second affected eyes at 1.5 logMAR, 20 out of 600 with a Snellen scale. Let's move on to the results with evidence of a dose effect. Here is the representation of a change from baseline of BCVA over time by eye groups. In red and orange, the treated eyes from bilaterally treated patients. In red, the first affected eyes, and in orange, the second affected eyes. In green, the eyes from unilaterally treated patients. In dark green, the eyes treated with Lumievoc, and in light green, the eyes treated with placebo. The three groups of eyes treated with Lumievoc have a statistically significant improvement versus baseline. The placebo eyes in light green show also an improvement, confirming the contralateral effect of Lumievoc, but this improvement is more modest than the improvement in directly treated eyes. This is a representation of the mean absolute values of BCVA over time. You see that the eyes of the bilaterally treated patients in red and orange present a better improvement of BCVA over time comparing to the eyes of unilaterally treated patients in green. At 1.5 years, the difference between the arms reaches 5 letters. It is interesting to see how the eyes track together in each patient group. Such as in reverse and rescue studies, unilaterally treated patients got an improvement in BCVA in both eyes, the placebo and treated eyes, and these data show that it is worth recommending a bilateral treatment with Lumievoc. If you put numbers on this improvement in BCVA versus baseline at 1.5 years, bilaterally treated patients got an improvement of 12 and 8 letters in their first and second affected eyes. Unilaterally treated patients got an improvement of 8 letters in their treated eyes and 4 letters in their placebo eyes. The contralateral effect on placebo eyes is less pronounced than the direct effect of Lumievoc on the treated eyes. We are now looking at the change of BCVA from nadir at 1.5 years. Bilaterally treated patients got an improvement of 19 and 16 letters in their first and second affected eyes. Unilaterally treated patients got an improvement of 19 letters in their first treated eyes and 13 letters in their placebo eyes. The improvement is compelling for treated eyes and again less pronounced for placebo eyes. Other ways to look at efficacy are equally important. We looked at the patient responder rate at 1.5 years. Firstly, we looked at the switch from off-chart to on-chart, which is clinically meaningful for the patients. There is a clear dose effect with on-chart recovery for 68% and 53% for the first and second affected eyes of bilaterally treated patients. These percentages are higher than the ones for unilaterally treated patients. 69% of bilaterally treated patients achieved at least 15 letters improvement from nadir, and 64% of unilaterally treated patients, which shows a level of improvement of 15 letters or 3 lines, as it is considered to be clinically meaningful. It is important to point out that most of the patients respond to treatment and the results are not driven by few outliers results. We looked at the final BCVA and the percentage of patients being on chart at 1.5 years. 85% of bilaterally treated patients are on chart and 72% for unilaterally treated patients. Now we are moving to safety. We have a lot of follow-up data with the product. If you include the phase 1-2 study, close to 200 patients were treated with Lumievoc. Lumievoc is well tolerated. There are no systemic safety issues as the biodissemination in the blood is negligible. The main ocular adverse event is intraocular inflammation, which is classical with gene therapy. The good thing with Lumievoc is that the intraocular inflammation is mostly mild, responsive to conventional treatment, mostly corticosteroids eye drops only, and is resolutive without sequela. The good safety profile is comparable in unilaterally and bilaterally treated patients. We have compassionate use programs running in the US and in Europe. In the US, 18 patients were treated. In Europe, there is a nominative ATU, temporary authorization for use, running in France. 22 patients were already treated. A cohort ATU was granted by the French agency in July 2021, and in Italy, through a nominative compassionate use, 7 patients were treated. In conclusion, the REFLECT study results confirm Lumievoc efficacy seen in reverse and rescue studies, with a statistically significant BCVA improvement from baseline for Lumievoc-treated eyes and from nadir for all eyes. The contralateral effect on the placebo eyes is confirmed, as seen in reverse and rescue pivotal studies. A dose effect is demonstrated, showing that a bilateral treatment with Lumievoc is more beneficial than a unilateral treatment. In total, 189 patients were treated with Lumievoc in clinical trials and 47 patients via compassionate use. Lumievoc is well tolerated with a comparable safety profile in unilaterally and bilaterally treated patients. In conclusion, as the regulatory pathway has been different between EMA and FDA, we filed for EMA registration in September 2020 based on reverse and rescue pivotal studies results. We will then be moving to BLA for US registration in Q2 2022 based on REFLECT pivotal study results. I would like to thank patients, investigators, and teams who have participated in these clinical studies. Thank you for your attention.